And welcome back to Sportscheck on this Monday morning. It is the 31st day of July 2023. And we'll be getting into a conversation about baseball because, as you can see, I've got this helmet here. This is a baseball helmet. It's not supposed to be used by border riders, but they do use them so they don't get arrested by cops. But besides that, the stories that we have got today, the Cabinet Secretary for Information Communication and the Digital Economy, Eliud Owalo, today gave a one-year status report on his ministry's activities. We shall be having stories from in our bulletins from that event that took place this morning. The Cabinet Secretary for Education, Ezekiel Machogu, is at the Kenya School of Government, and that was at the release of the 2023-2024 Kenya University and Colleges Central Placement Service results, and also the Higher Education Fund. So those two portals have been officially launched. And we've got the Annual Judges Conference. This is happening in Naivasha, being overseen by the Chief Justice Martha Koome, and also the Judicial Service Commissioner Charity Kisotu is going to be sworn in at the Supreme Court this afternoon. The Council of Governors, they've got a meeting today, and the COG Chair, Anwe Goro, is going to be addressing the media at 1 p.m. And also we've got KEPSA and a unit program that is going on today. So that's just part of the news cycle that we will be taking care of today as we keep you informed on all that's happening around the country. Our sign language interpreter within these is Lensa Odingo. Well, from motorsport, let's move on to a sport where they say they play around a diamond. And we're talking about baseball. In Kenya, really hasn't picked up, but for some people, you all played rounders in school. Others played softball. And we've got the Baseball Federation of Kenya Vice President, Dedan Kariuki. Karibu.
Asante.
Asante. And we also have got George Kinithia Wachira, who is the President Baseball for Africa. Thank you. And, you know, Baseball for Africa, they had their event at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology and over the weekend, and this is turning out to be the biggest baseball event in Kenya. Currently, it's the oldest and consistent. So, let me just start with you, VP Dedan. Baseball, it's an American sport. We tend to go with sports that come easy to pick and look, how would I say, are not start-stop, like baseball is. What's been the story of baseball in the country?
Baseball actually was started by Marines here in Kenya. I remember very well, I was one of those that got the knowledge of, or actually benefited from their clinics. They had clinics in Bahati, the so-called Mutaani, and they would gather the young people there with a couple of gloves. So that is the first time that I got encounter with the baseball. And then it didn't spread much because Marines, they usually come for a shorter period and then they're posted to other places. So later on in the years when we went through school in America and learned about baseball, that is the time we came back and started off. And the history of baseball is that it's been with us for the last 20, 25 years or so. Yeah.
And one of the things is, how do you then get to set up a playing area for baseball to get that diamond?
Normally we use what we call football fields. That is what is available to us because we don't have any baseball park in Kenya. So those are the ones, those are the places where we have our games played. Yes.
All right, and for you, let me come to you, George. Baseball for Africa, 19 years on. Just take us through the story of this foundation and the growth that you have seen.
Okay, Baseball for Africa was started by a Kenyan tourist called Jim Tamarak from the US. He traveled, when he retired, he was playing baseball in America when he was younger, and he retired and he had a childhood dream of teaching baseball in Africa to the kids in the villages. So he took a 100-day tour of Africa looking for a place where he could teach baseball. and he traveled across southern part of Africa, from South Africa, Zimbabwe, I think Botswana, Mozambique, and up to Kenya through Tanzania. And all the places, he didn't find a compatible place where he could teach baseball. So he ended up in Makueni at a school called Kiwangwani. So from there he started a project where he wanted to spread the game across the schools within Makueni. And he stayed there for a number of years. And then eventually, by a chance, we met, and we thought maybe it was a good idea to spread the game or to spread the idea across the country. So initially, there were 14 schools that had adopted baseball as one of their sports, but we realized that sports in schools, unless it is mainstream in the secondary school curriculum, it's very hard for it to take root. So we decided to take it to the communities, and from there it became, it took a national outlook. So over the time, that time it was only a school affair. Today there are teams from every part of the country participating. Like yesterday we had teams from Western Kenya, Rift Valley, Coast, former Central Region, and Nairobi. So it has continued to grow over time, and today it is the biggest and the oldest and probably the most consistent baseball tournament in Kenya, considering baseball is still a very minor game. And we are proud that with the blessings of the federation, or the collaboration with the federation, we have managed to come up with one of the finest or the biggest tournament in the country. And yesterday's, or the day before yesterday's tournament, which started on Saturday, we were able to transcend our borders, and we had the first foreign team ever since we started from Tanzania. So our dream is, as you heard, it's baseball for Africa. We want to transcend our boundaries and also bring Africa together through baseball at the club level, because what happens is the federation is doing its job as in terms of managing the national team and coordinating the activities within the country. But at the club level, like you'd have club championships for Africa, we don't have that kind of initiative. So our goal, with the collaboration with the local federation and also with the African body, is to come up with a club initiative for the entire continental showcase for baseball, so that we can give all the African children an opportunity to participate. Other than that, we are also spreading the game through donations, equipment donations, and we have been donating to a lot of the needy areas. Especially, baseball has been embraced a lot in the slums. Like we have a big slum in Elbagon called Kasarani, and they have hundreds of kids who have taken baseball as a pastime, and we have been working with similar initiatives in order to equip them, because baseball equipments are not available in Kenya.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let me come to you, VP. And he's mentioned a lot about the spread of the game here. And how are you doing the outreach to ensure that when people go there, because if you take a look at baseball, it fits well with the African culture. It's a game of throw, catch, hit, run, which is basically how most of us grew up.
True.
What are you doing? What are you doing to see that this spreads as it grows, comes back and, is retained, and there's a culture of that sport growing at every point?
You see, basically, we have a policy that we have to go to the mashinani. Mashinani is primary schools. We have had pilot projects within the schools, here in Nairobi, particularly in Eastlands. And the only thing that made us to possibly discontinue the program is because we were not able to supply the schools with enough equipment. Because most of the equipment, like George has said, nobody in the whole entire Africa makes any of these pieces that you see on the desk. So that
Even
one,
this.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, helmet. Basically, I don't think there is any company that manufactures any of these
Especially tailor-made for baseball, because it could be slightly different from...
So that actually did make us not to continue with that kind of project. But that has not stopped, because what happened thereafter is that we started partnering with other people. The Friends of USA, the JICA community, of course, the Japanese who have been taken to many parts of our country. They have helped us spread the game of baseball. And you know, the very first place that baseball was started was in Meru. Why? Because there was quite a number of these people who are posted to help to work with the various projects in Meru. And now we have quite a number of counties that baseball is being played. Like I have said, we focus much on primary school, because that's where we nurture the talents. And we have seen the results. We are now, we believe we are on the right track, because we have quite a number of schools, like in 7 or 10 counties, where baseball is played in all levels, starting from under 12, under 15, under 18, and even the adults. Adults, of course, most of them we are those that are in universities.
Yes.
That's where we get much, and the universities, many of them actually have been playing, and they're still playing.
Now, you mentioned Meru, because baseball is a sport that earned somebody the Community Hero Award. I think he works with the National Government Administration Officer.
Right.
What's the real story about Meru and baseball? Because I know that's a county that is football mad.
The story is basically, the history behind it is that these JICA people, Japanese, they started interacted with the Wananchi. And I think what they could offer in terms of recreation was baseball. And they had a few equipment here and there. So it's been there and it's still there, and I believe, well, though the JICA people also, like the Marines, they also come for a shorter period and they leave. But the very best thing that I have done to our people is that they have trained school teachers to take over when they leave. Because they have noticed that it's usually a gap when somebody introduces a program and then there's nobody to steer it up. So that's actually, they have helped us in many ways. And Meru being one of the very first place where we started, I think they are proud that they were the pioneers of baseball in this country.
So you talk about the equipment and that it's not manufactured anywhere in the country. Let's start with the simple one, the bat. There's a wooden bat and there is one that is made
Aluminium.
of aluminium.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just take us through those two, George, and how the difference and how they, and where one uses the other.
Okay, we have the aluminium one is more commonly used because it's readily available, and like in Kenya, we depend on donations. So whatever comes, mostly the wooden bats are used in the professional games, like MLB, Major League Baseball. That's like Premier League of baseball. And I would assume they are more expensive than the aluminium one. So, and kids also mostly use aluminium, and we get donations targeting youth and children. So, but basically nothing is, they are not made in Africa, not made in Kenya, they're not available in any shop in Kenya. So mostly we depend on the generosity of the missionaries and the tourists who come here, and we can't afford to choose, but mostly we get aluminium bats.
Now, the wooden one.
Yes.
And just explain that, because the picture that you've just seen is that of an aluminium bat, what the Americans call aluminum.
Yeah, that's true.
We say aluminium here. Yeah. But what's the challenge about crafting one, a wooden one, here in Kenya? Okay. Is it that we don't have the right wood, or is it that somebody hasn't dared venture into it?
Okay, we attempted to do it, and did some samples, like prototype bats, and it's doable. But the problem is the market, because like we have said, baseball is played mainly in the marginal communities, whereby they have to depend on a certain person in the community who is exposed to baseball, and he introduces the game within the community. Like where I live, I start a project, a baseball project. Where Dedan lives, also he has certain he has something like that. So all of us, there's a point of convergence, like competitions and all that, but it's like individual initiatives. So the market does not justify production in this country because it's still a minor game, and a lot of people would not be willing to invest their money in a game that is not very, very well known in the country, or maybe the resources. And I would also add, one aluminium bat is more than $150. So a wooden one, maybe, and you see...
That is 20,000 shillings.
Yes, and maybe a good wooden bat in the US could go for more than that because the demand is higher. For it is used by
the pros.
By the pros. Yeah, it's like having an ordinary playing shoe for soccer and having maybe a Nike shoe. So that's the difference. So, and then also good wood is expensive in Kenya because you can't use just any wood because it will break because of the speed of the ball when you're batting. The contact, even those ones normally break. I think that's the other reason why we don't use so much of wooden, because you can break even 5 bats in one tournament.
Wow.
Yeah. Let me also say something about the wooden bats, which we tried a couple of years. We did go to some of our carpenters with the lathe machine and all that. We made and we did distribute them to various schools. And the only thing is what George has said, to find out the right wood with the right
electricity.
Yes. Because you see, breakage of wooden bats is very common. And we fear that if they do it in a game, that piece can fly over and hit somebody or something like that. But that does not hinder us from doing more research on the kind of wood that can be used. And in fact, even other people who have come from other countries, they have encouraged Kenya to research on that. Because imagine if we were the producer or manufacturers of wooden wood, would spread, them or sell them to the whole entire Africa, where baseball is being played.
Wow. Well, an opportunity that has come in, I'm sure that is a very good challenge. And still looking at the equipment, let's go down. There is that red helmet that is at the bottom there. Yeah. And you also have got that guard.
Protector,
the chest protector.
This is the kit for the catcher, because in baseball you have the pitcher who throws the ball at a very high speed. So the person who catches in has to be protected because the ball can injure them. Because like in major leagues, the ball travel at 110 miles per hour. So and it's a hard ball. So this ball can cause a lot of damage if the person catching is not well protected.
Well, 110 miles per hour is 180 kph. That is a solid ball coming to you at that point. And also the gloves that they use.
Yes. Okay, this is a catcher's glove. So it's
actually something you've been hiding.
Yeah.
This is the ball. So you can imagine, this is leather.
Yes, it's leather.
It's leather coated.
Yeah.
And there are several types depending on when it should be used.
Yeah.
So this one actually is not coated with leather.
Yeah.
This is synthetic.
Yeah.
It's
this
used
is like
during
for
the rainy days.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also for practice.
Also for practice.
But
for
the
young
major
people.
league or tournaments like we had yesterday, we used hardball, which are leather coated, but it's cone inside, and then it's very hard. Then there's cover it with.
Okay. So the gloves that we have here.
The glove that you have here, we have different types of gloves. This one is for the catcher. It's called mint. And the other one, the glove that I'm holding here, and I can easily fit my hand there, is a glove for the right-handed player. Because we also have a glove for the left-handed, which is worn on the right hand. So this is the one that you catch, The ball, because that ball is quite hard and you cannot catch with your bare hands. So you have to have something that will protect your arm from getting injured.
All right, let me just get this right.
Right.
So that means if I'm right-handed, I have to catch with my left.
Yes.
Yeah,
If I'm left-handed, I've got to catch with my right.
Yeah,
The reason is you have to throw that ball
Once you catch it.
once you catch it. So once you must be prepared, and you have to act very fast so that when the ball gets into your glove, you remove it and field it to any position that you want to get that ball.
Yeah,
to.
because the concept of baseball is we have two sides. 9 players taking batting in turns. So there's the defense and the offense. So the defense player is trying to get the person offending, or the people who are batting, because we call it batting, not to win a point. A point in baseball is called a run. So, and the issue is we are trying to stop.
How many bases?
Okay, we have 3 bases.
3 bases.
And a home plate. So everything starts at the home plate and ends at the home plate. But the idea is for the player to round off the bases and come back before the ball gets either to the bases or to the home plate. So the defense is trying to stop the runner from getting to the base by throwing the ball to the base where he's advancing to before he gets there. Because when you round off the bases, you tag the base if you get there. So the person can tag the base or tag the runner in between or at the base. So if that person is tagged or the player is tagged, then he's out. But if he manages to round off either by himself, by hitting the ball so far, or maybe others helping him move base by base, then that's also a run. But what do you call like a hat trick in baseball is getting a home run, hitting the ball so hard it goes very far. The defense does not get it back until you round off all the bases. So that's a premium run, although it counts the same points. But that shows like if they were looking for the MVP, the one who has most of that is the MVP for the day.
So there you had it about a home run. That is basically going around the diamond.
Yes.
Base by base. First base, second base, third base.
And home.
And home.
Yes.
Here's the thing. You hear words like innings.
Yes. Okay.
And the scoring system.
Okay. Yeah.
You hear somebody saying 9-7.
Yeah.
So that one works like this. We all start with the offense and defense. The offense is the team that is batting, right? And of course, there's what we call batting. Within the diamond, there are areas designated for batting. And if you are right-handed, shown where to start. If you are left, then you're on the other side. So once you bat, and the ball goes out in the fair territory, and the fair territory is between the first base and the third. If the ball passes in between there, you are allowed now to move to the first base. If you have hit far enough, you can even complete the circuit by going first base, second base, third base, and coming back to where you started, which is the home plate. Then you have scored a run. Okay?
Yes.
If it goes, of course, there are chances that at one time a player will be what we call strike-offs. Okay? If you are on the diamond, on the home plate, and you miss hitting the ball 3 times, you are out.
You're out.
That is one person out.
That is what they call the 3 strikes rule.
Yes.
Exactly. That's the 3 strike rule. Then when you hit the ball up in the air, what we call fly ball, and it's caught before it gets to the ground, you are out. Right?
Yes.
Another way of removing that player is when he tries to move from one base to the other. That is what we call the tagging out. So that way, when 3 players are out, you change over. Then if you give the other team the opportunity of also batting. So when both teams have done that, when they have completed that one, they call it an inning. Then you continue that way until the 9th inning. And then the game is over if there is a will. If there is a tie, then you play another game to break the tie. That's how
you see, they're fully into the American language, a tie. Here in Kenya, we call it a draw. So, ideally, if somebody wants to play baseball, where can they find you? Where can they find you?
Okay. We have several centers in the country. If you're playing in Nairobi, there's Olympic School is playing baseball. Lenana School is the coach of Lenana School. And if you're near this side, west part of Nairobi, where I come from is Kabete. So Kabete, we have a baseball academy for all ages. And in Mombasa, we have Bomo in Mombasa City. And in Kilifi, we have 2 places. We have...
I have an academy.
He has an academy in Kilifi.
In Kilifi, Rabai, where young people gather there and play baseball. We have another one in Magongo Primary. We have also in Kikambala, within the Kilifi. So it's scattered all over the country.
And also in Kajiado, there's a Masai Land Baseball Academy. And in Nalbagon now we have the biggest baseball and the most successful baseball project in Kenya, because it targets kids from the slums. It's like the Maisa of baseball. So because these kids don't know anything else, they have no any other life, and you can get even 100 kids of different ages playing baseball at a place called Kasarani in Elbagon. That's slum there. So, and in Migori, there's also another project. Recently, Western Kenya, about 6 schools are playing baseball. So there are several, and some of the universities also have baseball teams, of which some of them are joined by ex-students, the alumni, and sometimes they also entertain a few people from the communities.
All right. Yes. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Yes, and speaking about baseball, George Kinithia Wachira there is the president of Baseball for Africa here, and the vice president of the Baseball Federation of Kenya, Dedan Kariuki. Thank you very much. And, it's always encouraging to hear that the biggest sporting project is not in Nairobi. It is outside Nairobi, because there's so much concentration here, centralization, but when things are happening in Kilifi County, in Migori, in Nakuru County, then it gives us joy, because it gives us a chance to tembea Kenya. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Before you wind up, I just wanted to mention to our baseball fraternity that we have a big event that is coming soon. This will be Friends of Japan coming to Kenya for coaching. And this will take place at Roland Scouts Camp. And we'll invite many people from many around our counties. We'll have one for the coaches, and the other one will be for the young people in our secondary school. So the name of this, whatever is called Kushien. Kushien in Japan, it means secondary school league. So we'll have a similar program adopted here in Kenya. We'll have Kushien Baseball League in Kenya.
Which is also, if you may allow me, is in Ghana, Nigeria, and Tanzania. And they scout for potential players who can go and complete their education in Japan and maybe proceed to the major leagues in Japan.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And so we are waiting to see that, the Kushien League coming into Kenya, and that's an opportunity for you, an education pathway coming your way. Thank you very much, Bwana Wachira and Bwana Kariuki.
Thank you.
Now, away from the diamond of baseball, we shall be moving on to the martial arts, and this is karate. It's a combat sport, and we'll be getting to learn about how this works and how Nairobi County is preparing for the national calendar. That's coming up after this short break.